Hi, I'm Tom and welcome to the Dopamine Factory. And today I'd like to talk about something simple but uncomfortable. Namely the fact that so many of us can be so much happier than we currently are. Simply by recognizing that you're likely looking at your life through a specific lens. A lens that zooms in and out on the things that are missing and completely ignores the things that are already there. So what if we slightly adjust the lens and learn to remember what we already have? Then many of us might be so much more happy. There's one bias almost everyone has. We evaluate our lives based on the situation we are currently in. If something goes wrong, we had a bad day. If something feels unfair, we had bad luck. If something doesn't meet our expectations, we feel frustration, which is all very human. But here's the problem. We only evaluate the outcome of every event. We never evaluate the requirements that had to be met to even get there in the first place. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? I want you to try a different question. What had to go right for me to be even in the situation? Because most situations we complain about sit on top of a long chain of things that actually went right. We just don't see them anymore because they have become normal. And once something has become normal, we stop being grateful for it. A good metaphor of how we often focus just on the bad outcomes instead of also recognizing the underlying luck dynamic comes from poker. Just imagine you're sitting on the poker table and you get dealt aces. And by an act of God, actually your opponent gets kings and you both went all in. Now what if somehow your aces lose? It might feel like a lot of bad luck, right? But now zoom out. What had to happen for that moment to even exist? A lot of things needed to go right, right? First, you need to have dealt the best hand in the game, which is rare. Then your opponent needed to have kings, which allowed him to go in as well, which is even more rare. And probably it required you to have a lot of lucky moments earlier in the game to even be at that moment in time to go all in. But in this unlucky moment when our aces get cracked, we tend to forget all of this. That we are actually already sitting on top of a stack of very positive conditions. We just ignore the 10 things that went right and we obsess over the one thing that didn't. Which is something we need to recognize if we ever want to feel happier. Now let's illustrate this with 3 examples. Imagine for a second you're on holiday and you have been looking forward to this moment so much. Until out of the sudden, the weather is terrible. There's rain, there are clouds, no sunny days at the beach, and suddenly the whole experience feels ruined. But pause for a second. What had to be true for you to even complain about this? You needed to have the money to travel, you need to have time off, you had to be healthy enough to go, you are currently now in another country, you are probably there with your friends or beloved ones, and you probably have a lot of people that care about you. That's already a very privileged position. But instead of seeing the whole picture, we tend to reduce everything to the things that didn't go right. So let's learn how to see this differently. Now on to a second example. When I was around 20, I didn't get a lot of attention of girls. Such a great guy. But what confused me even more at the time was that I spotted girls who got a lot of attention were complaining that there were no good options. And I remember thinking, how can you not recognize what you already have? Hello, I'm available. To even be in your position means that people are interested in you, you have options, you are desired. I mean, that's not a small thing. Look at all those guys. But yet, from inside their position, didn't seem to focus on their luck, but on their lack. The lack of things they wanted to have more. And I guess this is a bit of a human thing, that humans don't tend to compare downwards. We always just look at the best possible scenario and judge our reality against that. And in doing so, we completely ignore the fact that for a lot of people, the life you complain about would already feel like winning. Now let's talk about something heavier. Your focus and happiness while you struggle to have a child or where you struggle to create a future you always dreamed of. If you've been there or you are there, you know how painful this can be. But even in situations like this, there are layers of gratitude. Because to be even in this position, it often means that you are together with a loved one. that you are building something together, that you are aligned on creating a future, and that you care enough to try and keep on trying. Ensure that doesn't remove the difficulty, or it doesn't dismiss the pain of the situation, or just pretends that just being grateful fixes things. But it shows that even inside struggle, there can be something meaningful, something valuable, something good, which will help us to shift our focus in a positive direction. So why do we keep missing this? Why do we keep feeling unlucky even when objectively a lot of things are going right in our lives? There are at least 3 reasons. Firstly, comparison. We humans don't compare our lives to nothing. We don't compare it to the homeless guy on the street. We always compare our lives to someone that has more. Second cause is progressive thinking. We humans are also wired to grow, to move forward, which is great, but it also means that we rarely feel done. There's always something else to achieve. And then the third cause is adaptation. Everything that once felt special at some point becomes normal. And what becomes normal becomes invisible. You remember that big television you once bought? It didn't feel so big anymore after 3 weeks, right? And this is almost with everything. Somehow everything in our lives that once felt like wins at some point become a baseline. And from the baseline you then start to focus on what's missing again. So the solution here is simple. Learn to appreciate the baseline. Here's the message I want to leave with you. Life will always have moments that things don't go your way. You will lose hands that you were supposed to win. You have days that just feel unfair. You will experience frustration, disappointment, doubt. That is just part of being human. But what you can change is where you put your focus. Because right now, whether you realize it or not, your life is built on top of a lot of things that already went right. Things you've gotten used to. Things you no longer notice. Things you might only appreciate only when it's gone. So yes, keep striving. Keep improving. Feel disappointment when it feels real. But don't let one thing that goes wrong erase everything that is already working for you. Because more often than not, you're not unlucky, you just don't look at the full picture. And of course, if you appreciate this message, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Much love, Tom.